in the National Hockey League. 30 teams in 29 cities in 2 countries, each compete in an 82-game season spanning 6 months. Of the 30 teams, 16 will advance to attempt to win the most prestigious trophy in sports in a 2-month-long tournament known as the Stanley Cup Playoffs. These are their stories. The regular season is over, and it's off to the playoffs now. Hello, this is the Hardcore Puckhead here, recapping this final week of the National Hockey League regular season. And as is the case in every season finale, everything is settled. Well, not every season finale. Some of them have cliffhangers, but this one doesn't. The last spots were all clinched. The Toronto Maple Leafs nabbed the final spot remaining in the Stanley Cup playoffs on Saturday, last night. And tonight, all that was left was a small positioning um, uh, um, conundrum in the Eastern Conference, and the Pacific Division was still up for grabs during this final day. So what happened? Well, I will tell you. The Maple Leafs unfortunately failed to clinch third place. All they had to do was get to overtime, but after leading 2-0, they gave up 3 unanswered goals to the Blue Jackets and lost 3-2 in regulation. So that loss knocked them back down to a wild card and put Boston in the third place position. Meanwhile, the meanwhile, and later on in the Pacific, the Ducks captured the Pacific Division when they went to overtime against the Kings. They got the other point and won with a goal from Theodore less than a minute in. So the Ducks are the Pacific Division champions for the fifth straight year. Question is, what are they going to do with it? We've all seen what the Ducks have done the last 4 years. Every postseason they've been in the last 4 years has ended the same way. The Ducks come out here to the OC and lose in Game 7. I mean, as Chris Berman often says, one's an accident, two's a trend, three's a problem, four is just catastrophic. Um, and with that, that means, and that one point has completed the entire field. The following division semifinal matchups are as follows: in the Atlantic, the it's a double crossover in the Eastern Conference. In the Atlantic, the Rangers cross over to the Atlantic half, and they'll face the Montreal Canadiens in their semifinal. While the Ottawa Senators and the Boston Bruins face each other in the other Atlantic Division series. In the Metropolitan Division, the Maple Leafs will cross over and deal with the Washington Capitals. While Pittsburgh and Columbus will face each other for the second time in was it 4 seasons in postseason. In the Western Conference, there will be no crossovers in the Western Conference. It will be um, the Blackhawks, the top seeded Blackhawks, against the Nashville Predators, while the Minnesota Wild face off against the St. Louis Blues. In the Pacific, the Ducks and Flames will face each other, while Edmonton would have to deal with the defending Western Conference champion San Jose Sharks. Had Edmonton won the division, we'd have gotten the Battle of Alberta. And had Toronto finished in third place, we'd have the Battle of Ontario. But even though I'm heartbroken that those series aren't happening in the first round and may not happen in further rounds, may not, but there's always a possibility. I am still happy about this. 5 Canadian teams made it to the playoffs after none of them made it the year before, and each and we have and because the Canadian teams don't run into each other in the first round, there were five. That means five of the 8 series played, uh, have a Canadian team, which means for TV viewers, a lot of Sportsnet out here in this country. NBC should be NBC's been the playoff, stay with the playoff network for the last like decade or so. But but we should see a lot. We should see a hell of a lot from Canada Sportsnet feed, with 5 series each featured a playoff, each featured a Canadian team. Uh, Sharks, Oilers, Ducks. Well, that's only in most markets. Out here, one of those Canadian series is Ducks and Flames, and all those games out here are going to be on Prime Ticket. Um, but as far as the other four, Ottawa, Boston, Toronto, Washington, uh, uh, um, Montreal, and the Rangers, and of course, I think I said Edmonton, the Sharks. Um, we should see a lot of sports that out here. That's but it's gonna be an amazing, amazing playoffs. I just know it, and and it's just gonna be. I just can't wait for Wednesday. I'm so happy that the season's over and the playoffs are here. That means among other things, long overtimes. That's right. No more 5 minute BS followed by a shootout. Overtime period. The overtime period is 20 minutes each. We could get some long ones this year. We don't know. Last year, here's a trivia note. Last year, the longest overtime played in last year's playoffs was I think it was Game 4 between San Jose and Nashville last year. That overtime lasted 51 minutes and 12 seconds of game time with Mike Fisher, or as I like to call him, Mr. Carrie Underwood, out of respect. Um, Mike Fisher scored the overtime winner in triple overtime, and so I hope we get a lot of long overtime. There hasn't been a four overtime game in a long while, so let's hope for some marathon games, games that last through midnight here in the West Coast. But yeah, I'm just so overjoyed. For weeks I said the playoffs needs to get here, and now it'll be here in just 3 more days. This Wednesday will kick off the Stanley Cup playoffs. The schedule has not been released yet, so I don't think we know. I think we'll know tomorrow what games will start the postseason. But all I know is it's gonna be absolutely epic. So on that note, I'd like to say to the Sweet 16 in the NHL and to their fans, congratulations, you made it this far. Now the real season starts. And with that, I give you this piece of advice: enjoy the playoffs safely and responsibly, because this type of adrenaline can do this type of playoff adrenaline can do things to a person. With that, regarding my YouTube video, this is my last one in the regular season, but I'll be back after the first round ends, and I'll recap all of that. Talk about the teams that advanced and what went wrong for some teams, most likely the Ducks. but but I digress. So I'll be back with a recap of the first round, which will be close to 2 weeks. So until then, and again, enjoy the playoffs responsibly. And and with that, I say good night, fellow hockey fans, until the end of the first round.